G'day, this is Captainoob, and I want to show you something a little bit more interesting today. So, you all know me as somewhat of a modder. I produce mods for all platforms because I don't like leaving people out, even though it does compromise on the quality of my mod sometimes. But never mind that, this goes back a little bit further than that. So before I actually produce mods, before I even released my first companion mod, I actually did do a little bit of screwing around in the creation kit, and I actually managed to find some 3D objects from a game called Killzone. And if you're not sure about what that is, it's basically a PlayStation exclusive shooter. You shoot people and they've got orange goggles, and it's very, very cool, like glowy eyes things. They're cool. I've always liked my Killzone games back when I was a little bit younger, still playing on console, but yeah, I actually found some of the 3D objects, and I actually ported them in to Fallout 4. So we've actually got 4 weapons in this. This is from Killzone 2, so this is just the Sta 11 Submachine Gun. We'll get to these in a little bit more detail later, but I just want to show you off what I have got in the sort of first thing. So this is the M82 Assault Rifle. This is basically Space America's weapon of choice. Elements taken from the AK as well as the M16 in the sort of design of this thing, in terms of like the inspiration to this thing. So it actually looks pretty cool. It's obviously a bullpup AR-15 looking thing, which is a nice looking weapon. Next up, we've got the Sta 3 Lmg, which is basically inspired from German machine guns back in the World War II, and it looks a little bit more futuristic like this, but it's still definitely a great weapon. This actual model is from Killzone 3, and yeah. And we've also got the Sta 52 Assault Rifle, basically your HIG grunt weapons there, which is, yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. It's a bullpup, very futuristic looking. I kind of like the look of the ones in the original Killzone before their art direction was overhauled in the PS3 console. But yeah, this is still a nice looking weapon. All of these have customizations onto them, and this one and the M82 Assault Rifle actually have custom animations because they are actually bullpup, so it's not easy to port some animations into it. There's also some custom... Oh, I already talked about customization. So right now I've just got some iron sights here, and what I did is I basically robbed the little the front sight off the assault rifle and plonked it on there, lined it up with the little thing there, and then you get a decent shot at it. I've also using the standard assault rifle sound, for this thing firing. So yeah, I've got a replacer on now that is replacing that, so that's why it sounds different. Yes, so that's the reload. I actually took this reload right off the what's the mod called? The rifle, the big rifle from Starship Troopers. I actually robbed it off that. So yeah, that's another there's just a few of reasons why this mod never saw the light of day. One is because I'm using assets that aren't mine, and two, and possibly the worst thing is, I'd be using reload animations that weren't mine, because you can't screw over modders like that, they'll bloody get ya. Anyways, this is our Sta 52 Assault Rifle. I've just put the combat shotgun iron sights there, and that works out pretty good. I've also got a glow sight variant of this, which pretty much adds the red posts there, so you can actually see it a little bit better in the dark and all that, which is nice. Got that same reload animation, which doesn't work to how you actually reload the thing in-game, but that's fine. And last but not least, actually I haven't showed off this one, have I? No, this is basically a PP-19 Bison, except it's got like Uzi elements into it in terms of its real sort of design inspiration. It's using the submachine gun animations, and they don't line up perfectly, but they do okay, sure. And also, big machine gun. Yeah, this is basically a very, very fast-firing machine gun. Think of it as like an MG42, but looks a little bit different. And I've just got basic assault rifle animations, which do work kind of well, but they're a little bit basic, Righto, so we'll take these bad boys to a workbench. I'll show you what sort of customization. Now, I haven't actually worked on this mod for ages. This has just been sitting in my hard drive, just doing absolutely nothing for, what? I don't know. I started working on this years ago, but anyways, looking at this thing already, I can tell just by the titles that I need to remove some of the keywords out of the default things, because, yeah, I don't really want all of this stuff to be here. I'd rather just say Sta 3 light machine gun. So, yeah, a couple of things already I'm picking up on that I would likely change if I was to actually make this mod or complete it, or at least clean it up a little bit. So for the SMG, we've basically got the same sort of attachments as the SMG. You've got a heavy barrel there. These are basically number changing. They're all no cosmetics. There's a quick eject drum, for extra reloads. extra reload speed, and there's also a reflex sight option. I could never get these sights lined up properly with the front post, so some of these don't look great. There's also a glow sight here, which adds a little bit of a glow to that front post there, because I realized in playing Killzone 2 and 3 that that's actually there, and it's, for some reason, it was removed from this thing when I first loaded it in, so I just added it myself using the vanilla game assets. We'll have a quick look through the reflex sight, why the hell not. So that's what it looks like. You're not actually looking through the center of the sight either, which is a little bit aesthetically unpleasing too. But as you can tell, it fires quickly. There's not a lot of recoil, but it's going to have a little bit more punch than your standard submachine gun. So, you know, that's nice. It's also firing the 10mm rounds, because that's the closest I could get to 9mm. Although, looking back, I'd probably make this thing fire the 38 special like all your pipe guns, because that's infinitely easy to get. And since this thing is such a high capacity submachine gun, you're probably going to get through those very, very quickly. We're using the submachine gun sounds too. We'll just switch over to the standard, the glowies. We'll chuck the glowies on, why the hell not? And there we go, pop that out, and there you go, you've got a little bit of a glow sight there. Although, it looks like for some reason the attachments has glitched, and it's put the glow thing in front of the front sight post there, so it's not actually sitting where it should be. So, you know what, yeah, this thing, if this mod was actually still a thing, it'd be in alpha stages right now, looking to fix those bloody bugs. Anyways, so for the muzzle attachments, you can put a suppressor on there, or a muzzle brake. The muzzle brake comes from the assault rifle. The suppressor, I believe, is from the submachine gun directly. So I'm just using basic assets from the vanilla game to fill in the gaps there. I don't like how the color doesn't really match the submachine gun either. Oh well. So yeah, we'll leave that as is. I think that's going to be fine. And we'll move on to the second one, the M82 Assault Rifle. So if you're familiar with Killzone, this thing has a reflex sight on it, which I'll attach on now. That's called a holographic sight, sorry, and that's what it looks like. Doesn't line up properly, again, because I had a little bit of trouble actually lining up the models. I'm not actually sure how to do that with precision. It's usually just trial and error, and I got it close enough one day. I thought, yeah, screw it, let's do it. So you've got the basic same receivers as the assault rifle too, and for some reason when I've attached the reflex sight there and I'm going over this, it actually changes that rather than the receiver itself, as you saw before. So I'm really not sure what's happening with all of that. We'll go for a powerful auto receiver, and we'll chuck on some better numbers, attachments, and a quick eject mag. Why not? And of course, you can put a muzzle brake or a suppressor here. You can also put a compensator, although that is a pipe gun compensator. That should probably do with a retexture, just make it really saturated or no saturation, so it's nice and grey like the rest of the gun, doesn't look out of place. But that's what I'd probably do if I was still sort of developing this mod really. I've sort of left it in the dark. I haven't really touched it since I've started actually modding for all platforms. Anyways, so we'll quickly have a look at that. Hit the number 2 key, and here we go. So looking through the sight there, it doesn't actually line up properly. If you look at the middle of the tactical rail, I'm just going to change the time for a second. Yeah, if you actually look at the middle of the tactical rail, the sight doesn't actually line up properly, which is a little bit of a shame. But I managed to get it sort of there, and I've got a little reflex dot there. When you aim down sights in game in Killzone, the front thing kind of disappears, so I kind of like how it's sitting there, although that does sort of demonstrate how it's a little bit off, at least with my sights are a little bit off. As I said before, it does use the vertibird sounds, which do suit the weapon. They sound kind of like what they did back in the Killzone games, which is nice. There's the reload animation looking quite good, even though it's a stolen one. Whoops, looks like it's raining. Righto, moving on to the Sta 52 Assault Rifle. Like this one, like the M82, this thing can be upgraded with basics receivers from the good old assault rifle. And as you can tell there, this thing is a little bit glitched. The drum should be there instead of there, so there's something wrong with the placement of these things, but I can hopefully put that back if I change the sights on this. For some reason the sights are a little bit glitchy. See, if I attach the glow sights, it goes back to normal, and the reflex sights do it too. In fact, the reflex sights push the whole friggin' thing back. So yeah, I obviously haven't lined up the 3D objects to the best of my ability or to the most optimal. But the reflex sight does complete this thing. It's actually designed to have those reflex sights on it because it's a Killzone 3 model weapon. And we'll chuck in a quick eject drum mag for those extra reload speeds. And yeah, ported barrel for better accuracy and all of those relevant better upgrades. And of course, there's some more muzzles on this. I like how shiny the muzzle brake is compared to the suppressor. Yeah, the suppressor needs to be a little bit dark to really suit on these things, otherwise it looks kind of silly. I actually admit that. Righto, we'll take this thing out of the workbench and look at this thing in first person now. Definitely looks a whole lot better with that reflex sight on it, and I actually think I've lined up the sights on this one properly. Firing this, it fires a little bit faster than it does in game, I think. I think they upgraded the rate of fire in Killzone 3 anyway. At least I felt like they did. They were definitely a lot more accurate. They took some of the skill out of the game by making the guns so much more accurate than they were in Killzone, removing a lot of the weight too, so it felt like you're a little bit more of a twitch shooter than a giant-ass bulky soldier. So yeah, that kind of sucked about it. But yeah, I'm not going to commentate on the changes of that game too much, because there's too much to talk about here. So this is the Sta Three Lmg. You've already seen that before. We'll quickly chuck it on a workbench. This thing can only be modified in a automatic form. So there you go, powerful auto receiver is the best we can get. I basically took all of the assault rifle receivers, ripped out all the semi-auto ones, because who wants a semi-auto LMG, right? Vented barrel will reduce the recoil, padded stock will do that some more, and you can have a quick eject drum mag for fast reloads, which really doesn't help since we're using the assault rifle reloads anyway. It's not going to really do that much. There's a reflex sight here which just sits on top. There's no tactical rail to attach it, so it just sort of clips inside there and it sits nice and snug. It's also better than the no sights at all because there's basically nothing. You've just got a little bit of a metal thin stick there or whatever, and you just got to aim a little bit over it. But with the reflex sight you get a nice and precise little actual thing, and you can actually see how it's a pretty precise looking by the the impacts of the bullets on the metal. That's generally how I tested these sight lining up, and that seems to be okay despite it being a little bit off. But we would take that off, and of course we've got the standard sort of muzzles that I usually have. The muzzle brake looks good. I reckon the compensator actually suits this thing pretty well. It's the colors kind of suit, although looking at that it needs to be a little bit less saturated. And the suppressors from the assault rifle, so that looks pretty good. It's a little bit bright though, but for some reason it didn't come out as grey as it would with the regular assault rifle, so I'm not actually sure what I did. Maybe I changed the texture unknowingly, but we'll just leave the muzzle as is. Have a look at the sights without the optics on it. As you can tell, you sort of have to eye it off. The crosshairs converging. It's a lot easier to see like that. But yeah, you can basically aim this thing using by looking at where the bullets impact and then changing aim from there. So there you have it. That was 4 of the weapons that I have worked on in a mod previously. There's actually another game that I did this for. It's the Ratchet & Clank 2 guns. I've actually brought one of those things into a stream way back when I did Fusion City Rising, and for some reason I can't jump up here. There we go. So yeah, we might as well take these into Gunner's Plaza, see if I made them super overpowered. I remember I made the damage a little bit better so you'd have incentive to use them over the vanilla stuff. But yeah, we'll see how well this goes. Righto, so here we are in Gunner's Plaza. We'll start off with the submachine gun, but before we do anything, we'll just go ahead and take a look at these things in third person. So I think they're all scaled properly. They do definitely look like they're in the right size, although this one doesn't have the proper lining up on the foregrip there on the bottom of the helical drum. Originally I had the assault rifle animations which worked fine, but I opted to go for the SMG reloads for a little bit more realism, I guess. The nippy reloads of the assault rifle didn't really suit this thing anyway. Moving on, the M82 Assault Rifle looks fine in terms of the hands lining up, but the mag is not in the right spot because the animations, the custom animations, don't work in third person. We're just using assault rifle animations, so everything else lines up except for the mag. Same goes for the Sta 52, and for the Sta 3 we're using assault rifle animations anyway, so nothing's going to change, although there's a little bit of clipping just on that going through the mag there. Kind of missed that foregrip there, but yeah, it works pretty well, I suppose. Anyways, yes, the weapons are scaled pretty well. I kind of like that, but yeah, I already talked about that. Let's get right into shooting some people. Yay. Peek around the corner, get some cheese sneak attack criticals, and then we'll go ahead getting the regular damage on them. And we're doing okay. With the high fire rate on this one, as well as the high mag capacity, we can mag dump for a fairly decent amount of time. And since we are doing a little bit better damage, and stop setting me on fire, that is very rude. Yeah, since we are doing a little bit better damage than the SMG, it is a little bit more tolerable to actually use this thing. Getting those headshots is a good way to stack that damage quickly, as with all weapons. And this thing, with its low recoil when suited properly to, or having all the recoil compensating sort of attachments, will have you with an easier time nailing headshots. Now at range, this thing is going to suffer like any submachine gun, but the jumpiness of this weapon's recoil is going to screw you over a little bit. So obviously it's not going to be great for that. Fortunately, we've got assault rifles here, and they'll do a little bit better at range. So this one has a sort of relatively slow rate of fire compared to the vanilla assault rifle, so I gave it a little bit of bonus damage as well as a lessened damage penalty whilst using an automatic receiver there, so that does make up for a little bit. This thing is actually a headshot machine. Back in Killzone 2, I remember playing on Elite, my Elite playthrough, basically all of my shots needed to be headshots, otherwise I'd be dead. Man, Killzone 2 was brutal with harder, with Elite difficulty, especially the last bit where you fight Radek and all his mates because they just keep running at you. Fuck off with your Molotov. Okay, so the M82 Assault Rifle is doing pretty good. We'll get some Assault Rifle, no, hip fire in, sorry. My words are getting all jumbled up because I've got so many ideas coming into my brain at once, my mouth can barely keep up. Stop throwing Molotovs at me. Oh, actually, that was a frag grenade. That's fine. Righto, so we'll take cover with what we have here. Oh, looks like we missed one. That's alright, we can use this thing in bats if we get a bead on you. There we go. We'll just go for a crit there. Okay, didn't get a nice third-person view of this thing firing, but whatever. Okay, it's only a gunner conscript. They'll go down nice and easily. Looks like we're in a good situation for a high magazine type weapon, so we'll switch over to the Sta 52. Something made me stagger fiercely bad, so that's scary. And one of these guys has got a Gauss Rifle, which is even more scary. So as they're funneling through this section here, we can easily kill them just by holding down the trigger and pointing in their general direction. Got plenty of rate of fire to help keep this thing on the killing mode. We'll just sit behind this weirdly looking forklift. Oi, who's hitting me with that? That's definitely staggering me. So whatever you've got causes lots of stagger. That would be a staggering Beretta gun, no wonder. Righto, so as we're moving into the more gunner occupied territory, just looking at the compass there, means we're going to use this LMG with its extra ammo capacity. I feel like we'll be doing just fine. Ah yes, there's Captain Bridget. We might as well go ahead and get some sneak attack, no, just some crits. No crits are needed, that's fine. Looks like this thing is a little bit more powerful. Since this thing does fire the heavier rounds, it actually does require the Nuka World DLC to give it the 7.62s that it should have. Maybe if I was still working on this mod, I'd add a few caliber conversions here and there to either give or take damage. I feel like that'd be a cool addition to this. Caliber conversions are always fun in Fallout 4 mods, especially in Creation Club patches, right? Righto, so now we'll quickly move over to this section here. Just some melee gunners. They're not going to be too much of a problem. This thing is quite deadly up close. Get a bash on you. And then we'll pop a quick reload. We'll go one more mag with this thing, and then we'll do the rest with the M82. I like the M82. Oh, we're actually almost dead. That's alright. Nerd Rage time. Even in Nerd Rage, this thing fires that bloody quickly that it's devastating. See, if I had a suppressor right now, you could imagine the extra damage I could get with all of the good old, what's it called, Ace Operator. I always forget perk names. I'm too focused on the gameplay here. My brain can only do so much at once. Alright, just one more to go, which might be the turret if I missed them before. Looks like it is. Righto, so there you go, my discarded Killzone weapons mod in Gunners Plaza, as well as a general sort of talk through on the thoughts and my thought processes whilst developing and using this mod. So there, I hope you all enjoyed a glimpse into my modding sort of life before I started producing mods for PS4 and all that. So yeah, I hope that's all sort of interesting. Maybe one day I'll ask Guerrilla if I could actually use their assets to create a mod and chuck it on the Nexus and Bethesda.net. Maybe I'll get that out someday, get some animators to help me out, chuck them a few coins and they'll animate these guns for me, but I don't know. Let us know what you think of this, and if it's just a, let us know if it's a lost cause if you feel like it. So apparently this thing has no collision here, which I always thought it did. I remember on PS4 I could jump on top of this, but that's off topic. If you want Rain as a companion, which is this current character, she's a raider, but she'll help you. She's not a nasty raider. She's actually quite a good raider. She's a good girl. Don't worry. Yeah, she'll be in the description. Thank you for watching, guys.